Alright, hello everyone. So I'm just going to be making this short video, more so pertaining to specials, special usages, since I've been seeing a common thing with lower level teams is what they don't know how to take advantage of the specials that they use, or don't get the most out of them. So in this video I'll be going over two things, I guess more so the coordination of specials, as well as being able to follow up with specials, as those are two big things that are needed to get the most out of any special that you may use. So for this example, I'll just be going over Sendo and doing umami clams. That's a quick example because it does have that one choke point. Has this one choke point in the middle there. And again, it's like, oh, how do I break through that? And what people then do is like, oh, build a special. Exactly. That's exactly what you would want to do. But it's like, what exactly do you do with that special? Or what specials can you use? So what I've had people do is that they would primarily get, for example, an ink strike. They ink strike this area in front of the basket, but that ink strike on its own isn't really going to do much, because all the other team just has to do in this situation can just back up, fire into the ink strikes, and then push right back up into this position. So pretty much kind of like a swapping positions, backing up and then going back in front, just defending in front of the clam basket, because that's all they have to focus on. If no one follows up with that ink strike, it makes it a lot easier again for that defending team just to hold that space, as well as it just makes them more aware. It makes it easier to defend because all they're focusing on is the triple ink strike. There's no other threat pertaining to them. Instead, for choke points, like a lot of other maps in this game, you could say a lot of the rectangle shaped maps, so a hammerhead, mincemeat in particular has a few examples. There's choke points, you don't just want to go through one special. You may want to use two, maybe even three. I almost call this brute forcing specials, or brute forcing a choke point just so you're able to get a push off. If and when your team is able to get a push, you would I would say it's your best bet to use at least two specials to reduce choke points, because one just isn't enough unless you actually have the mechanics or like the pace to actually go into and follow up on that special, which is really risky, especially for choke points. What I would recommend is probably like again two or three of those specials, for example. Here's why it would work a bit better. So if you're to use a zipcaster, for example, the ink strikes up front and the zipcaster starts just in front of the choke point. Say the zipcaster goes up front, they zipcast, they zipcast the right side up here, and that ink strike is still in where it was before. Now, the other team just has to choose what they want to focus on. They either have to back all the way up to avoid both, or they're going to focus more on the ink strikes and have the zipcaster overwhelm them, or they're going to focus on the zipcaster and just allow the people to just go through the choke point while they're focusing on the zipcaster. So again, it's definitely a lot harder for them to focus on two things at once. Because again, the ink strike and zipcaster are happening at the same time. It's like, what's their primary focus? How they're going to survive or make the best out of this situation. They're probably going to break or even bend a whole lot because of this. Because they have to focus on everything at the same time. Another thing I want to go on about is following up with specials. I'll just stick on this for simplicity's sake for umami clams. So say you're on the defending side and you're just wanting to push back into mid. Some good specials I would say that require a lot of follow-up would include Killer Whale, Booyah Bomb, Inkstorm, Zipcaster, maybe even Kraken, and especially Super Jump, as this video is being made during patch 3.0.1. So I'll go over a quick example of this. It's kind of the similar thing, but except with just like one or two specials instead of just like a lot more than that. So for example, let's just move these two aside. Let's say you have Booyah, because again, Booyah is a good way to get in. If I can grab it. There we go. So we have a Booyah. So if you were to booyah, say, this front half of the map, since you want to access mid more easily, of course you would want to booyah about this portion here. And as we know, with booyahs, it can be easily shot into. But again, this goes back to the choke points again. What the enemy team can do is what they can do. If no one follows up with this, they can just back up, paint into that, and just immediately go back up because there's no threat other than the booyah happening. And that's just a waste of a booyah. And now they know you don't have a booyah bomb anymore. And it's just stalls or lets them have more control of mid. If you use one or two specials, so booyah bomb or ink strike or something like that, your best bet is to follow up with this booyah. Almost kind of use it as temporary cover. That's how I like to put it as. So that way, yes, the other team will back up. They will back up, of course, because of the booyah bomb. But they also notice you there as a threat as well, painting. So they'll probably stay backed up, and then that allows everyone else on your team to push up with said booyah bomb and take mid control from there. And then again, you can paint for specials, push up, and then go over that choke point, getting a lot of clams off in one push. That's kind of like the long story short of it. So again, those specials you really want to follow up with, as they allow people to back up and get out of a certain area you may want to access. Ink Strike, Ink Storm, Booyah Bomb, Killer Whale, Kraken, even especially Super Chump as well. And even missiles and Wave Breakers, a lot of them can be used as displacement specials. So a lot of those displacement specials are what you really want to follow up upon to get the most use out of them. And that way people just don't do this thing where they just back up and then just take that space immediately right back and you're still stuck in your defensive third. That's about all I wanted to go over. If there are any questions, please just let me know. I'd be glad to answer. Thanks and have a good one.